Hey folks, Jake from Pod Casty For Me here. This is a preview of a bonus episode from our Patreon feed, Paid Costly For Me. If you like this and you want to hear more, you can head on over to patreon.com/podcastyforme, where for $5 a month, you can get a new bonus episode every other week. That's patreon.com/podcastyforme. Enjoy! The movie set, like I read a little bit of the book, and it starts in exactly the same place, like at the restaurant with and it's cold and
or whatever,
the jacket.
That can't be right.
All of which was shot in Santa Monica. Like they didn't shoot anything in Florida. Everything was in LA. And then oddly on the out of sight commentary, Soderbergh talks about how they shot it all in Miami and everyone thinks it's Marina Del Rey, which like
but I would say that if you're trying to identify like how the flavors are different, I think that's one of the things in the mixture is like this. I mean, this is just shot in Los Angeles for every other place, and Out of Sight has just enough realism that it feels like Miami or Detroit.
Right, exactly. And that's the Soderbergh, a bit of a Soderbergh touch, is he's like not an LA guy.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised to hear that none of it was shot in Miami, because I feel like those scenes have such a different energy and atmosphere that it feels like almost like another crew. Like I feel like the lighting is different in those scenes.
It is. For sure. Yeah.
They tried very hard. And listen to the commentary if you want to hear Barry Sonnenfeld put like 4 syllables into the word turquoise.
Hell yeah.
Like he talks about how they painted everything turquoise. Yeah, that whole sequence is great, and like just sells the confidence of this guy.
There's also something special that maybe this is just associative on my part, but the only people that I've ever heard talk about Alexander's as like a touch point is Chili Palmer and Larry David. I think Larry David gets a bunch of jackets from Alexander's, which I think is like this specific generation of a New York guy that's like the pinnacle of like, this is nice stuff. This is an Alexander's leather jacket. My wife got this for me for $379. So, and
I feel like that's like the most like, hey, I'm Italian that the movie is. Like they give you one big joke like, he cares about his fancy coat. Like,
well, Chili's half Puerto Rican, so he can't be a made guy.
Well, he's not just half Puerto Rican. He's half Puerto Rican, half Spanish, which is really also of that generation.
So Delroy Bo's character is pretty dialed into this guy. Like he knows that there should be something multicultural and multiracial about him.
Mm-hmm.
Multiracial. I'm trying to think what that would be. I guess like a Friends.
The like box set.
Friends No Way Home. You know. I was gonna...
Did you want to talk about real Chili Palmer? No.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
Because if we're doing this film...
Yeah.
We're doing this film on the Patreon, right?
I think that's a pretty good idea.
Okay. And then we're going to do Be Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Can we also then do a film that features like half the cast of this movie? David Mamet's Heist. Because Heist has Hackman, DeVito, Lindo... let me see who else is in Heist. It's got Ricky Jay, who's not in this, but would have fit in fine.
Yeah, of course.
Is Rebecca Pidgeon in this movie? No. But we should talk about Heist. One of the great.
We should,
I don't really have that much to say about it, except like, isn't this movie great?
Yeah, I told you that I didn't want to do a David Mamet series, and that was the only exception, basically. I mean, that and Glengarry, which I don't know if it totally counts.
We can fit Glengarry, Glen Ross in somehow.
Yeah. State and Maine, I guess, is interesting.
Yeah, and Red Belt. Let's do all of them.
Nope. All right.
Spartan?
So Chili Palmer, real guy, and
real guy.
Everybody was surprised to find out that he was real. It was like halfway through the shoot or something, according to the LA Times article you sent us.
Yeah. Elmore.
Yeah.
There's Delroy and there's Elmore, and I keep saying Elroy, who is
Elmore Leonard,
just another guy entirely.
Yeah, he's a little space boy from the future. He's actually not a space boy, I guess. His dog is named Astro, but that's not. He's from Earth, I think.
Yeah.
Chili Palmer, a real guy, a real loan shark who Leonard knew from his sort of research, and he loved the name. And Chili Palmer, also half Puerto Rican, half Spanish, couldn't be a made guy. A lot of that stuff came from him. He's very briefly in the film. He's one of Ray Bones's boys at the restaurant at the beginning. He's the one in a dark suit, I believe.
I believe his only line is something like, "Good one, Ray."
Yeah.
Crushed it.
But apparently, because Dennis Farina was he was a real cop who he got into movies because he was Michael Mann's, like, he was a consultant on Thief, I think. And so apparently, Farina and Chili Palmer on set were talking about how they knew a lot of the same guys because Farina had, like, investigated them in Chicago as a police officer. And so he's like, hey, whatever happened to this guy?
Yeah. To hear the researcher for Elmore Leonard talk about Chili Palmer is very funny. He, like, recounts an interview with him and from his early days. He says, I came from Coney Island, Brooklyn. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Spanish. I grew up with the Italians, mafia breeding ground, basically. Out of 100 guys I grew up with, 70 are probably dead already. Coming up, I wasn't a good kid. It was a rough neighborhood. In my teens, I was a burglar. Later on, I did stick-ups and armed robberies. Done some work for the local boss in the neighborhood. I used to take Italian numbers in the football pool. I worked for the bookies. That was my upbringing. And then he talks about becoming a loan shark. Oh, that's not the word that he uses.
What are Italian numbers?
I know, really. The phrase Italian numbers I really liked. And also, I mean, what is fascinating to me, and maybe this is like proving Elmore Leonard's point, is that a guy who was involved in actual armed robberies and who, at least according to his claim, 70% of the people he grew up with are dead from crime. He likes this fake dumb comedy about being a loan shark.
Want to hear the rest of the episode? Go to patreon.com/Pod Casty For Me and sign up for just $5 a month. We're sorry we do this.